Hi everybody, welcome. I'm really thrilled to be with you today. As always, when I press that button that tells me that I'm live, it's always a little nerve-wracking, but it's also very exciting because it means that I'm with you and it means that we can co-create something together. So welcome. We're on the cusp of a new year and a new decade. And by popular demand, because a lot of you have written to me and said, aren't you going to do any predictions for 2020, 2021? Aren't you going to do a special video on that? And so I thought about it and I thought, all right, if that's the kind of thing that you're wanting, then sure, I'm delighted to share with you some of my thoughts and ideas. So we're starting out with a big month in January, because in January we've got this Saturn-Pluto conjunction coming on January the 12th. We've got an eclipse in Cancer on January the 10th. And we've got a very strong energy of Capricorn throughout this year. There's a lot more going on, and don't worry, I'm going to do my best to cover a lot here, because there is a lot to cover. I think it's pivotal that we are dealing numerologically with a 2020 year, so that's the number 4. So a year where north, south, east and west, we can really create new structures for ourselves in this year. And also it's a 22 together, the 2020 is 22, which is a power number, a number of a high frequency. There are 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that are supposed to have been able to bring certain mind thoughts into form, into actual being. So, that being said, I'm not an expert on numerology, but I do like it very much, and perhaps those of you who do know a little numerology might want to share in the comment box, or if you're watching afterwards, just share some ideas or something that might be valuable for other people. So I see this as a really powerful year where, because we've got Saturn and Pluto, let's look at Saturn and Pluto, what that means. Pluto is power, Saturn is structure. Pluto destroys. It has a destructive energy to it. And what it destroys is anything that is no longer serving you. So it may be destroying something that needs to go in your life. Maybe there is something in your world that is no longer any use to you. It's no longer any value to you. Your soul isn't growing. And so Pluto very often will take it away from you. And Saturn enables you to build something that is stronger and better than ever. Are Pluto and Saturn a difficult combination? Yes, they are. People born with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, the latest batch would have been born in 1982, 83. So these are people who are very often born with a sense of deep moral responsibility. People feeling as though they've got a lot of karma, they've got to really, they've got a lot of duties. Some of these people are going to expose corruption. Saturn and Pluto together can mean a lot of corruption going on. And people who are in power very much this year are going to have their integrity and ethics tested. So let's look. So the last time it was 1982-83. Before that it was 47-48. So these are the generations that were born with this Saturn-Pluto energy. And now here we go again, 2020. We get this Saturn-Pluto Capricorn energy, which has to do with power, power structures, and how we deal with power, because the United States in 2022 will have its Pluto return. Pluto was in Capricorn at the time the United States was born. So chances are in 2022, as we build up into this time, there may be some huge changes in the Constitution of the United States. How is it going to survive? What will survive? What needs to go? What needs to be? What will come? What will happen to the world's superpower? Pluto was discovered in 1930, and 1930 was the time where we learned how to split the atom. It was the time at which we learned how to completely annihilate ourselves from this planet. So it was a real turning point, finding Pluto, which is known as a dwarf planet, I might add. And I think that it carries a lot of punch for a dwarf planet. Yes, this is a powerful time. So I think we've got an opportunity to build new and useful structures in our own lives and globally. I think we're going to see the destruction of certain governments. Pluto is all about, it can be about degeneration and regeneration. It goes different directions. It depends in whose hands it's being used. If we look at the astrology chart, for example, of Prince Andrew, he has Aries on the midheaven at 22 degrees, which is square to Pluto and Saturn, close to his natal Mars in his 6th house, but it's midheaven, and this was the misuse of power. This is all now coming out, and also affecting his social status, social standing. People now living longer than ever. It looks as though my stream went offline, and I don't know how that happened. Did I go offline? Hello? I'm still here. Are you still here with me? Goodness gracious. I really hope that I didn't press any button that said I was offline. Are you still here? Tell me, guys. Yes, you're still here. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Back. Yes, I hope it doesn't continue to be choppy, because there's a lot I want to share with you here. So, the positive side of this Pluto-Saturn aspect is that there can be new advances in mathematics, in engineering, in genetics, in physics, in quantum mechanics. Huge advances in these areas. The negative side is that there can be more organized crime, some tyranny, abuse of power, corruption, all of this. So there's always a polarity as to how these energies can be used. So this Saturn-Pluto energy, I feel, for us coming up now in this 2020 year, is an opportunity for us to look at how do we want to structure our lives, what needs to die, and what can be born at this time. What foundations do you need? What do you want to build? What do you want to structure? And Pluto and Saturn now, right at the beginning, it's like it's setting a tone for this 2020. We've got the Cancer eclipse, we've got Uranus going direct on the 11th, and the Saturn and Pluto on the 12th of January. So very compacted into this first month is a tremendous amount of energy. And an opportunity, I feel, to look at how you use time, what you do with your time, how you break through difficult times and continue through, your survival instinct, but also your instinct for being able to find ways in which you get stronger. You don't give up. Saturn and Pluto doesn't give up. Yeah, it really says, I'm not giving up here. I don't care how adverse things might look. I am not stopping. So this is really a strong year. Now, many people have been asking, does it look as though Trump is going to get in the election time, which of course is going to be big for you in the United States? Looking at his chart, he's got Saturn and Venus conjunct in Cancer. So all these Capricorn planets have been opposing this Saturn-Venus energy in his chart. So this has led to his proposal for his impeachment, for being impeached. The thing is that there is a trine, it's making a trine to the midheaven. And the midheaven is at 24 degrees of Taurus. And I would think that this means that he's impeached but not convicted. Most likely. This is what the astrology would suggest. As for the election, of course, there's a lot of controversy about this. And I'm not political. This is not about getting into the politics of it. But Donald Trump was born during an eclipse. He was born at an eclipse of 21 degrees when the sun was in Gemini and the moon in Sagittarius. Now, at the time of the election, that's November the 3rd of 2020, the North Node will be at 19 of Gemini. That's very close to his sun. And on December the 14th, after the election, is an eclipse at 23 of Sagittarius. So it looks as though he looks as though he's got a lot going for him to maybe get elected, but I'm wondering whether there's some kind of a recount needed or something happening that changes, or there's an eclipse that's so close to his sun and moon there. I'm just wondering if there's a possibility that he gets elected, but then he doesn't actually become the president. He doesn't get sworn in February. I don't know. This is conjecture. I don't know. It looks as though he will certainly be the candidate for the Republican Party, even though there's a lot of things going on against him in certain states. But it doesn't look as though he's convicted from this impeachment, at least because of those aspects. But maybe he gets eclipsed at the time of November, December of this year. Those are just my thoughts around that. I think that financially, we've got Uranus in Taurus until 2025. So quite a long period of exactly. I think we have to stay positive. As for Biden being the president, I did take a look at his chart, and whilst it looks as though, you know, he's actually got some very good aspects especially as on the date of the election, the November 3rd election, his Mars is in Scorpio, which will be conjunct to that Sun on that date. So, you know, he could in fact even be propelled into power in some way. But another thing, it doesn't show that he actually gets the power. So there may be something that pushes him in there. I don't know. I'd have to look at that in a lot more detail. But I am going to say this is not a political situation, but I think politics is going to be a very hot potato with the Saturn Pluto. I think we're going to get a lot of polarization. People saying, no, it has to be this way, and no, it has to be another way. And I think that we're going to have people coming along, like we've got in the United Kingdom now, Boris Johnson. He has got Pluto and Uranus conjunct in his chart, opposite to Saturn. So Saturn is structures, and Pluto-Uranus is about the breakdown of established structure. So you can see, by the way, his whole expression, everything about him is, you know, his hair, his unkempt hair. He wants to break molds, the destruction of established molds. This is very much about what he's about. And of course, you know, he's the one who's bringing in Brexit, the breakup of the UK from the EU, taking us out. This is very much Uranus in Taurus. He's got Jupiter in Taurus a little bit further along. This is very much what he's come to do, is to break existing structures. How does this affect us? Absolutely, life is more than politics. I'm not saying it's not. I want your input here, but the politics affects us. Who is in power affects us as the people. And so it's important that we, in some way, respond. We are really coming into a change of the power structures. And there may be in that time, times where more boundaries and barriers are put up. And in that process, we may find out that we don't want that. Yeah, because what are we doing? We're a global community. We are moving to the age of Aquarius, and we're in this era now of the Capricorn energy. And by the end of 2020, there is a huge shift into the Aquarian energy. All right, so I want to build up out of this. It's like we start off the year quite weighted, right? It's all this Capricorn energy. But gradually, I feel there is a lift upwards and out of the heaviness. But somehow we've got to put up with it and face it, face the consequences of our actions. Capricorn on the personal level as well as the political level and social structures. It's about looking at what have I done in my life that's caused the consequences that I'm seeing right now. Where do I need to be more responsible? Where do I need to, yes, I will talk about economics and stock markets, yes. Where do I need to take more responsibility for the things that are happening? It's no longer a time to be a victim with Saturn and Pluto. It's about saying, hey, you know, I take responsibility for this. Now, what am I going to do to change it? What am I going to do to make it different? For example, if you've been overextending yourself financially, you're over-debted, you're in debt, and you're not being responsible, well, Saturn and Pluto, especially if it's transiting your second house, it might show you where you really now need to pay the piper, need to take responsibility. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's time to get really serious about a particular relationship or end a particular relationship. But yes, It's responsibility. Saturn and Capricorn and Pluto and Jupiter now joining the party, and all Jupiter does is magnify it all. Jupiter shows us the things that we've not wanted to look at. And you know me, I am the eternal optimist. I am a Sun Jupiter person. So I will always try to see the good wherever I can. But I do think that we've got to look at the things that we don't particularly like looking at in our own lives and also in our world, in our community. What do we want? So, I'm going to take a look at and I think we do need light relief in between, all right? So we do Capricorn, we do some hard work, we apply ourselves, and then we've got to take some breaks. We've got to be able to say, okay, what are we grateful for? What do we have? I'm super grateful for this internet, for live stream, that I don't have to record all this and prepare it ad nauseum, that I can be with you, respond to some of your things here, your questions in the moment, and hopefully give you more of what you are wanting. Now, there is a collective fear. Saturn and Pluto together is very much about a lot of fear mongering going on. Fear about this, fear about that, and you may pick up on fears that are not even your own. So it's going to be quite important to take time to be peaceful as you can, and also to trust, as many of you are saying, to trust that things are in divine order, and maybe we just don't see the bigger picture. There is always a bigger picture, and what may look awful afterwards may have a silver lining. May. I'm not saying everything does, but maybe. So, now, Uranus in Taurus. So we've got Uranus in Taurus and Jupiter in Capricorn, earth signs. And to me, these are the indicators of the economy and money and finances. So what I would say is they're in earth signs. It's a time to be more conservative. I don't think this is a time for great speculation. I don't think this is a time to take huge risks economically. I think stock markets are going to be very volatile. I think they're going to continue to print more money. I think there will be real estate markets that will drop significantly. I would be looking at tangibles. So if you collect anything, art or watches or jewelry, gold and silver, I think, are going to go up phenomenally. So anything that you've got that's tangible, if you can grow food, if you have your own energy supply, if you want to start a community or a retreat or anything like that, I think that this is going to be very positive. I think in the next few years we are moving towards a cashless society. You can already see that in many Scandinavian countries where cash is not accepted at all. So I think we are, yes, paper money of course is losing value, but I think if you're going to invest in anything, you've got money to invest. I think that the precious metals and any kind of tangibles, valuable art. Some people collect watches and clocks and timepieces. Whatever it is that's got a physicality to it, that you could trade, food, I think that that would be, these are the kinds of things I would be looking into. I think that technology will become wearable. I think we're going to have technology that we wear more, rather than necessarily have to carry. And also, I think implants are on their way. Like it or not, some people are going to hate it, but some people are going to love it. What if you really could have access to Google without having to get online for it? What if it was all just implanted? I'm not suggesting that this is how it's going to go, but it might as we move further into this age of Aquarius. Uranus in Taurus, Jupiter in Capricorn. I think that we're looking at industry, and the industry of construction is going to be a good industry to possibly be involved with. I think there will be new construction materials. I think that there will be ways of building properties and houses, maybe tiny houses take off, maybe communities can just be built very quickly and moved very quickly if necessary. Because I think there will be weather changes, climate changes. We know that. But I think that there will be extremes of weather. So the more portable we can be, the more we can move ourselves more quickly, more easily, the easier it's going to be. Yes, the environment is a big, big issue. And Saturn Pluto is about taking responsibility for what we've done to our environment. We will be moving away from Earth gradually. Yeah, this is such a heavy, earthy time. And if ever there was a time now to take care of our Earth, to treasure our Earth, to find technological solutions to clean up our Earth, I do think there are going to be technological solutions to clean our waters, our seas, to heal our planet, and to heal our bodies. Huge advances coming. Huge, huge advances. Positive ones. So I think we're dealing with consequences of actions of the past. The South Node is also in Capricorn. So this South Node suggesting that, yeah, we've done a lot of damage in the past. And people before us have done that damage as well, contributed to that damage. And what are we going to do with our nuclear power? What are we going to do with our nuclear waste? These are big, big things. And thank you for hitting the like button. I do appreciate those of you who are saying for you to hit the like button. I do appreciate it. So I think anything to do with aging, the aging population and longevity and devices, I think that, and our own, just anything that is going to help us to be able to be in the body and be healthy in our physical bodies, these are going to be industries that I think are going to take off greatly. I think that there are going to be new ways of growing food, new ways of storing food, and new kinds of foods are going to appear. Yes, I think we're going to grow all kinds of new crops, new ways of growing, but certainly age regeneration is coming, most definitely. If you can buy silver, I would get some silver. Silver is very, very underpriced and very cheap. You get silver coins at the moment. I've not looked at the price lately, but I think it's, I probably should look. Come on, you guys, somebody tell me right now what the silver price is. I know the gold price. The gold is around $14.78 per ounce. But America, I'll come on to some of these questions as well. I'll be covering a lot of your questions. So I think we're going to be looking at new communities springing up. I do think that there are going to be communities and the opportunity to be able to travel to different communities. Yes, that the footprint and the imprint of these communities will be very self-sufficient. More and more people are wanting this, where we can have communities where we can come together, we can exchange ideas, where we can be together. Thank you. Silver is at $17.44. Thank you, Mehul. So $17 for an ounce of silver. My goodness. It's To me, that's very, very, very underpriced. I think that we are getting to a place now where there is going to be an opportunity for a universal wage, where universally everybody will have the basic needs met. Imagine that. I think this is coming, where every person upon this planet will have enough food, shelter, clothing, heating, energy, the basics. You might not be able to eat silver, but you can probably exchange it if the banks are closed and if there's an outage of the grid of electricity. So these are just thoughts and ideas of mine that I see based upon what I'm seeing in the aspects. And yes, giving money to people who need it, giving charity, giving away. How much do you need? How much do you really need? Capricorn is very much a bit of a hoarder. Often Cancer and Capricorn hoard a lot. But what do you really need? How much do you really need? What can you give away? So yes, water is a big issue. Water extremes. So water purification techniques, I think, are going to be much more mastered by technology. And I think that we're going to be making a lot of progress in this area. Now, there's so much to share. It's like, wow. I'm going to cover the royal family because I think I'm seeing it with the Queen. The Queen Elizabeth has got her ascendant at 21 degrees of Capricorn. So that means that all this Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter is crossing her ascendant, and it's also conjunct her south node, the south node, which is her inherited power, her past power. And I think there's a good chance astrologically that she might step down this year. Possibly. If she doesn't step down, then she's probably greatly going to reduce her royal duties for one reason and another. It looks as though Prince Charles, he has got his moon is at 0 degrees of Taurus, and the Queen's sun is at 0 degrees of Taurus. So, and his moon is in the 10th house, suggesting that he does in fact inherit the throne from his mother. Prince William's chart also showing Pluto and Saturn, and Jupiter is transiting his first house, which is square to his natal Pluto, which is ruler of his midheaven, which suggests a change in his power, a change in maybe him taking on more royal duties at this during this year. So these are just possibilities, and the reason I noticed it was because of the Queen's ascendant being at that pivotal degree, 21, 22 degrees of Capricorn. And whenever things cross the ascendant there, that can also have something to do with the physical well-being and the physical health and the physical energy of a person. So that may too come in there. I realize these are contentious subjects. It's okay. Some of you are going to like it, some of you are not. I'm just covering as much as I can to cover a broad range of subjects that many of you have asked about. So, now, the other things that are happening this year, I think I've covered this Saturn Pluto. We've got we've got Pluto and Jupiter coming together this year in Capricorn. They come together 3 times, April 4th, June 20th, November 12th. So 3 times Jupiter and Pluto. Well, these two are very strong together, right? This can be a very positive energy. This can be a very positive use of power, a very positive use of resources. It can mean great wealth and great resources being used for the good. We may see powerful philanthropists really put money into humanitarian ventures, and lots of it. And I think that these are pivotal points. So if you've got a venture that you want to launch, these could be very good dates. April 4th, June 20th, November 12th. Now, the eclipses. So exciting because there's so much to cover, and thank you for being with me and encouraging me in this. Yeah, thank you for the balance of comments here. Yes, I'm getting a lot of comments that are somewhat negative about certain things, and that's okay because you feel strongly, and I want to respect each and every one of you for your perspective. Yeah, we see things differently, and that's okay. So, the eclipses. We've got Cancer and Capricorn going through the year, on and off, January, June, July, November, December. These are the times of the eclipses. So we're starting out the year with the Cancer eclipse on January the 10th. And then we've got a solar eclipse in Cancer on June 21st. And a lunar eclipse in Capricorn on July 5th. So this is the Cancer Capricorn energy that follows till the middle of the year. So Cancer and Capricorn are very much about family, the past. And many of you may be digging into your ancestry, your past, looking at why was I born to this particular family? Why? I was born to, my mother actually came out of the Holocaust from Vienna, Austria. And I've been looking at that, and you know, why was I born into that? And you may be asking some deep questions and looking at where you've come from and what that's changed in you, how that's made you strong, how you can use it in a positive, constructive way. So, the eclipses in Capricorn and Cancer and being weighed down by the Capricorn energy, very much about structure, organization, time, all these things. Thank you. Thank you for joining me, guys. It's so kind. You're so kind to me. So we're looking at Capricorn, the past, resilience, discipline, carrying on no matter what. And Cancer, the mother, the caring, the loving. Really, I felt that positive energy ball. Thank you, Steve. And it's this balance between the softness, the gentleness, and then having to steel ourselves to go out in the world and deal with what's out there and deal with the things that perhaps we don't like. Yes, there are 6 eclipses in 2020. Usually there are 4 or 5. This year, 6. And eclipses are game changers. Eclipses are times at which we can really reboot and restart. So it's going to be important to know the balance between doing your work, having discipline, being organized. I mean, I love my work. I can work easily 16 hours a day, no problem. Hardly notice it. But it's also important that I have the nourishment, that I meet with friends, that I meet with people I love, online and offline, that I get some hugs, which is Cancer energy, lots of hugs, lots of food, nice food, all that. When I think of Cancer, I think of being breastfed. yeah, being on the breast, because Cancer rules the breasts. And we need that nourishment. We need that feeling of protection. So the Cancer will bring out this protection in you, and the Capricorn will bring out the discipline. And now we're moving towards Gemini and Sagittarius eclipses. We have the first one, the first eclipse is in June the 4th, the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. And then as we go through the year, we have on November the 30th, a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and December the 14th, a solar eclipse in Sag. So we're moving, as we go from the middle of the year onwards, we're moving into these kinds of energies. And what's this about? Well, we're looking at the media. Gosh, I think that that's going to be a lot of things coming out with the media. How the media is run. I think there's going to be a lot of people having a lot of run-ins with the media. I think we're going to be looking at truth, at lies, at the distortion of information, but also an opening for a lot more valuable information to be coming in. Yes, I think that technology with these eclipses in these mind signs could really take some leaps forward. I think we're looking at words, the power of your words, the power of the mind, the power of speech. I think we're going to look at the integration of how we deal with immigration issues, refugees, integrating. Yeah, no more fake news, Yeah, well, I think we'll be looking at travel. I think people are going to become freer. There is this deep desire to become free, more free. So I think the year starts off with somewhat, as I said, of this more heavier energy. Yeah, we're kind of heavy down. And if you can get yourself organized and really run a tight ship, yeah, no, nothing extraneous. Only have what you really need and think carefully about what you need, and then give away the rest, or give it to people who need it. Do some good with it. But run a nice tight ship, nothing superfluous. And if you can do that, and also set yourself some good goals. Yeah, Capricorn is about goals. Remember the gentleness, the Cancerian energy. Tune into your ancestors, where you've come from. Work with the land if you're interested in gardening and agriculture and all those things, or construction. Think about your home, and what does home mean? What does family mean? Because I think we're widening family. Yeah, I think it's getting bigger. The definition of family has to get bigger. And here we're looking at a huge change, I think, in social media. I think once we get into these Gemini and Sag modes, I think we might get an exponential growth of social media, and many more people earning their living through social media. This was something the Pleiadians shared with me, and I will be publishing a video on that as well. So I think we'll be connecting more with the ETs, with space, with all of these things as we move into these eclipses of Sagittarius and Gemini over this, from the middle of 2020 and into 2021. Wow, this is super exciting. I don't usually do this long, but I'm so excited to be with you, and there is more that I wish to share. And then I will take questions, if you have any. I might have exhausted them, I doubt. So, two other things happening, three other big things. Well, one very, very big thing, but we do have Venus goes retrograde in May the 13th to June the 25th. Venus going retrograde in Gemini. So when Venus is retrograde, Venus rules your money and your love life. And when Venus is retrograde, it's an opportunity to reevaluate and reboot and rethink anything to do with those areas of your life. So you might reinvest something. You might meet somebody from your past and get back with somebody from the past. There's a lot more to say about that. As that comes closer, I will of course discuss that in detail and go through all the signs and how it will affect you personally. Another important time is September 9th to November 13th, when Mars goes retrograde in Aries. And Aries, ruler of Mars, so Mars, ruler of Aries, sorry. So when Mars is retrograde, some people are suggesting this could be a time of war, a time of conflict. Not necessarily. It could, but the way I see it is it's time to look at how we deal with anger, how we deal with when we feel as though we're not getting our own way. Yeah, because Mars in Aries is I want it my way. I know what I want and I'm going to do it, and that's the end of it. And when Mars is retrograde, it's like, okay, maybe it's not what I want, but maybe it's what you want. And how can I adapt to that? And will I adapt to that? And how do I deal with frustration and irritation? So I think that these are just things that will come up, but of course, as that gets closer, I will certainly be discussing that with you. May I please ask you to like this video if you are in fact enjoying it? I would appreciate it. Thank you. Now, the other really, really super big thing that I am extremely excited to share with you is the fact that by the end of the year, Saturn begins to go into Aquarius. Okay, there's a shift in March. March the 22nd to July the 2nd, we've got Saturn does go into Aquarius. So this is already a slight shift away from this deeply heavy Capricorn energy. We start to see Saturn move into Aquarius. So this is a slight glimpse of this Aquarian energy coming. And by the end of the year, we have got, so Saturn does go back into Capricorn from July the 2nd until December the 17th. But then from December 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius until March of 2023. On December the 20th, Jupiter goes into Aquarius. And on December the 21st, super important date, December the 21st, Jupiter conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. Woo-hoo! Okay, huge. Let me explain it. Saturn and Jupiter come together roughly every 20 years or so. However, they have been in Earth signs since 1842. And from December the 21st of 2020, they will be in air signs until 2199. So we've got a long period, and it starts, and it's always significant when there is a change of frequency. We're going from Earth to air. So we've had, since 1842, the industrialization, we've had heavy industry, we've had the exploitation of the Earth's resources, we've had a huge amount of pollution, all with this very earthy energy of Jupiter, Saturn in Earth signs since the mid-1800s. Now we have this big shift. At the end of 2020, I do believe there's a beginning to it in March of 2020 when Saturn briefly goes into Aquarius until July. But then by the end of the year, we now have this Aquarian energy. So we come to an era of air signs. The air signs are Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, and we are moving into the age of Aquarius. And to me, this is much more of a push into this Aquarian energy. What does it mean? I'm going to do an Aquarian thing, which is be the water carrier and pour some water. Actually, it is air waves, but cheers anyway. Now, to me, this is when we truly move into the age of humanity, a humanitarian world, the last time that Jupiter and Saturn were in Aquarius was in 1405. Okay, that's over 700 years ago. So it's like a new cycle beginning, huge. So I'm excited about it. Why am I excited? Well, I think we come to a, thank you. Thank you for encouraging people to like the video. I appreciate it. Thank you. I think we can now mutate. The human being now can mutate into the Aquarian human being, which is an opportunity to have equality and each person to be valued as their own individual light. I think we're going to see an exponential growth in technology. If you think technology has been good so far, or not, I won't use a value judgment. If you think technology has developed quickly so far, this now, as we begin this decade, it's going to move with at the speed of light. I think we're going to have transportation systems where we're not going to be sitting in traffic in the way that we've been doing. I think we're going to be traveling through the air, hydrogen, all different technologies that have not been shared are going to be shared. It's super exciting. So I think that technology will become more human-like. I think we're going to be interacting with our technology in new ways. Some people won't like it. Some people will welcome it. But hey, who'd have thought that even 30 years ago that we'd be carrying around mobile phones that have got GPS systems and we don't need maps anymore. And we'd have a person or a voice telling us where to go. I mean, this will look like child's play even 5 years from now. If you haven't got my seminar, I did a seminar about this new decade, 2020 to 2030. I do charge for it because it's many hours of videos, but if you want to know more about what I'm seeing for this decade, then you might want to check that out on my website, yourastrologysigns.com. So, I'm giving you some of it here now today because it's important. I think that we are going to see people coming together to rebuild our world technologically, but equitably. I do. I think this is an opportunity. I think we will have visionary leaders, leaders that really have a vision for mankind. If we look now, we've got dear Greta Thunberg, the generation born with Uranus and Neptune in Aquarius, this generation that were born in 1996 to 2003, these are going to be, I think they're the Generation Z, aren't they? These are going to be the people that, of the voice of humanity of this Aquarian age. They really are going to take us on this journey. Exciting, exciting, exciting. So I think we're going to see people have a vision for humanity that don't want to just stuff the profits in their pocket, but they want to share everything. I think there's going to be amazing cities, amazing, amazing types of cities that are going to be built, that are going to be dreamed up in the air, and mind technology, mind power with the age of Aquarius can reach amazing levels. Don't be surprised if we have ETs coming and new intelligence coming in that develops the brain, because the brain is largely untapped. This is all Pleiadian stuff I've been receiving, by the way. I will give you a Pleiadian video, but for right now, I'm covering more the astrology. But I do think innovation will be the new institution. Anybody working with innovation, I think we're going to solve the most complex problems I think there will be the merging of the technological with the spiritual. I think this is going to be the power that is coming along. We're going to have to know how to use this technology in a way that will be for the benefit of everybody and not just for the few. So again, I see this Cancer Capricorn being this vertical type of energy, top down, and as we move to Aquarius, this is horizontal type of energy, and with the eclipses in Gemini and Sag, that too feels a more horizontal energy where we're sharing globally. Great time ahead, truly. I think medical innovations, technological medical innovations are going to abound. I think there would be mental telepathy, teleportation. I've always wanted to do that, teleport myself. And wouldn't that be wonderful if we really could just teleport ourselves, as we've seen on, you know, Beam Me Up Scotty. I'm a real Trekkie. But I think there will be time travel, contacts with ETs, and I think the nation states, I think in some ways, I think there will be breakdowns of nations where we just see that we're all connected. But also, and yes, no more hospitals. Wouldn't that be wonderful? No more hospitals. Wow. I think we have to really, I think these things become possible. But the oneness of our globe. The Aquarius is all about individuality. The fact that we are individuals. That there is no other like you. No other like you. And also that we are part of a whole. There is a oneness to us. This is this Aquarian energy. So I think that we may even have invisible computers, but I'm interested to know how I would find my invisible computer. So if anybody have got any ideas on that, I think that would be very interesting. But I do think technology and spirituality coming together and these higher frequencies, I think we will overcome many of the diseases that we face and the disease of aging. Self-driving cars are of course very close. I think breakthroughs in battery technology are very close. Everything electric powered, silent energy. I think the world will be able to have more peacefulness. Although you wouldn't have believed that the other night when my neighbour was having a birthday party till 5 in the morning. But I think it's going to be a time where machinery and the noises of machinery, I think that's going to be a thing of the past. You know, builders and construction and all that drilling and banging and clopping and hacking. I think that's going with these technologies. I think we're going to be able to build houses more inexpensively. I do think that there will be more sharing of resources. We're already seeing that, but much more of it. Cars, homes, it's just going to be easier. I think that this whole thing around profit and greed and materialism, I think a lot of that will be changing. I think that we'll find that there will be pockets of people who will be in that fear survival mode, but also an opportunity where we can really thrive together and get our basic needs met. So I think there's going to be a new money system and also a system maybe where we don't need lawyers, where we don't need bankers, where we don't need insurance people, where we don't need money in the way that we've needed it. I do think that's changing. I really do. Can you imagine there'd be no basis for crime because everybody's going to have the things that they need? Why is there crime now? Largely because it's people who don't have everything that they need. So, am I cutting out, guys? Is this all right? I think a lot of people suddenly went offline, but they came back again. So, thank you for coming back again. I think the video's a bit wobbly. I think there's going to be a huge shift in learning and education, more opportunities for learning globally. I think machines are going to become conscious. Can you imagine really talking to machines? I mean, everything really is alive around us anyway. The molecules are alive anyway, but just I think more so. So I think that technology can bring an end to poverty, to hunger, and it can bring more equality if it's used constructively. I'm hoping that that is going to be the case. What about it? Free energy, free water, free food, free access to clean water, to clean air for every single person upon this planet. And then we get the opportunity to explore our creativity, to explore our individuality, and to be, for each one of us to be the piece of the puzzle to come together. I do hear, and I, look, thank you for your comments. I've covered earlier on in this video the heaviness and the difficulties that we are here, that are here. So you may not have heard some of the earlier parts of this video. I'm just giving you a vision for the future, right? I'm not saying that this is here now. Of course it's not here now. But if we don't have a vision and a dream, well, how are we going to create that? Yeah? How are we going to create it? So there is a transitional period between the materialism and between this shift into new structures that are non-competitive, that we compete with ourselves to be the best that we can be in ourself, and not with somebody else and looking at somebody else and saying, oh, they've got so much more than I have. So I think there are, yeah, Greta for the Prime Minister of Sweden. We're going to see some amazing people. Yeah, I do think there are some amazing people coming through, and especially the teens. You watch some of these teens. Wow, watch this space. So I felt it was important to share some of the positive things, because we've got so many difficult things coming up, especially for the first several months of this year. So I hope that you feel I've presented a reasonably balanced video here. There's always more, but I do think sooner or later there will be children born on Mars, born on other planets. Imagine that. Yeah, we are going to be exploring other planets. It's coming. Am I a Pleiadian? Yes, I am a Pleiadian. So, any questions? If there are any burning questions, I will take them. And otherwise, I just really want to say, wow. You know, I mean, there's always going to be things that people find where we all have within us, shall we say, a positive force and a survival force. All of us. Yeah, there's a part of us that, you know, I notice it in myself. Sometimes I see a big queue of people and I think, oh, if I could only get to the front of that queue. Yeah, that's my survival bit. And I think, okay, chill. So there's the survival part within us, and then there is the more soul, spiritual side of us. And I think that we are moving and hoping moving towards being able to balance more of the spiritual part of us and bring that more into our everyday world and our everyday reality. I think there is an awakening of consciousness happening. That it has to happen. It has to happen. We've got nuclear bombs. We've got the ability to destroy ourselves. We have to take it up a notch. We've got to take our frequency up. So I just want to thank you for being with me. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all your support and love and liking. And I just really appreciate you. I'm loving being on this journey with you and I wish you the very best for this new year, this new decade. I look forward to your comments, your sharing, and I wish you the very, very best.